A quarter century of innovation, countless awards, hundreds of thousands of fans worldwide. One of the longest running sports gaming franchises on the planet celebrates its 25th anniversary. Out of the Park Baseball. Experience the next level of baseball gaming with new features like completely redesigned player development system. Shape the future of your upcoming stars. Drive for the pennant, a new exciting way to play the game and guide your franchise to glory. All new AI, player rating system, and simulation engine enhancements, creating the most realistic and challenging OOTP ever. Updated 2024 database and rosters for MLB and the complete minor leagues, the KBO in Korea, UK, and the Netherlands. Improved 3D action on the field, including great visual filters. And for the first time ever, an official partnership with the Baseball Hall of Fame. And of course, compete with tens of thousands of avid baseball fans online. Legends of the past come alive. Out of the Park Baseball 25 is here. Play what the pros play. Available March 15, 2024.
All right. Well, how you doing, my friend?
I'm a little tired. Just a little bit tired.
A little bit of defense. Yeah, a little bit of defense. Yeah, I don't see you dancing around as much as you were earlier today.
Well, you know, it's later. It's been a long day. I didn't bring anything to hydrate with. I have no hydration. So, anyway, good to see everybody. I'm not sure who's here. Is anyone here?
We got a few. I just posted it in the Discord here. Just one last chance for people maybe to get a few drops that they missed today. And if no one's here, well, it's on the VOD and we put our reaction video. So
there you go. And luckily, everyone. I don't think we're going to be dancing anymore. So
yeah, I don't think
singing.
so.
No singing.
This is going to be a short little reaction video here. We'll try and lift our spirits a little bit with some energy, but this is a busy time of year for OOTP and for us streamers because we just want to get the information out there, don't we? We want people to embrace what's coming, whether it's big changes or little changes. We want to get the news out there. So EVC and NYC2 is here with me, doing a little recap on what you just heard or may have missed on the OOTP broadcast where they talked about Perfect Team 25 and what we can expect. So good to see Shante Cruz in the chat. Well, good. We've got our first chat there on this. We don't usually stream this late, Shante. So we decided to come on because we did a stream earlier today for about almost 4 hours, and there's 3 hours of special drops. So we wanted to come on and give those working class people that may have missed the stream your chance to get some OOTP 24 drops today and tell you about what went on over the last 3 hours. So I got all the slides and you put some stuff in your Discord that we'll kind of go through as well. But overall impressions of the hour and a half that we heard from Sporer today.
Again, always great to see some of the new card art coming through. These are huge changes. There's some big changes to Perfect Team, and I kind of like that every year because I like, it's not just the same game with new paint on it every year, right? There's some big shifts that are happening this year. Just like last year, we had PBABIT, which completely changed our whole concept of how we think about pitching. Again, the ratings changes this year, I think, to me, is the part that I'm most interested in kind of getting into and understanding what's going on underneath there. There are several changes in how catcher ratings are done, several changes in how steals are being looked at, and speed. We don't even know what speed covers, which is entertaining to me. And then again, just a slightly different configuration of how the ratings are shown. That to me was probably my biggest, trying to get my arms around that and understand what that's going to mean as far as performance, how when you look at a card, I mean, I guess is the thing. We've been so deep in the OOTP cycle, we can look at a card at this point and know if this card is going to play well or not, right? We know the characteristics of looking at a card. it's changed up now, right? So contact is now in a different spot. BABIP's not at the top. It's just like getting the brain around looking at the card shape and that muscle memory so that you can look at something quickly during a draft or making a team.
That's the thing. And you're right with just not splashing a new coat of paint. You gotta approach the game differently every year with OOTP. And we came to a point with OOTP 24 that by the end of it, you knew exactly what you were looking for in a card. And for, pretty good percentage wise, you could predict how well that card would do in a situation. And now, as you mentioned, let's get right to talk about the ratings change, since that's the first thing you brought up. We're going to see a different, not a completely different look. The basics are still there, but we see some additions with the running and with the defensive position.
Even the setup of the basics, right, is different. So
yeah, slightly, with the contact.
Today, when you look at a card, it's BABIP on top, then power, then avoid K with contact underneath, then gap, and then I. And so you're basically now BABIP is kind of subservient to contact. Contact's always been made up of your ability to avoid strikeouts and your ability to get a ball in play, right? Like that makes sense, but just the setup is different. So I always looked at BABIP so much as a key indicator. And now I'm, and walks were kind of elsewhere. So it's just a very interesting thing. I'm just struggling with just the order of it to figure out.
Congratulations,
underdog.
Rube Waddell. Did you open one of the spotty packs or did you get that in a regular pack? Congratulations, my fellow educator there. Calling a Rube Waddell. Yeah, it always works that way. You get the cards towards the end of the cycle. And some people still play for another year. You can still play for another year, just won't have the same competitive, groupings that we had this year, because you get probably 60 to 70% of people that leave the game once the new one comes out.
So jumping over to speed, I think is the next category to look at.
Yep.
And you see, again, it was always a confusing thing. Speed always included stealing aggressiveness in it. Now it's broken out. We already had stealing ability, which is what steals was before. So those are broken out in more detail. But now, what does speed mean? We don't know what that speed is. We've already got a base running on there. So is it speed and base running? Is it speed for your ability to have good fielding? It's not clear how to interpret speed now on the card as we go forward. So that's a question mark that I don't know what to kind of ask that directly. And even Sporer said, I don't know what speed is, which I was like, oh no.
And you would think that there'd be corresponding sliders in your strategy for these new areas too, where you can set your aggressiveness slider and your base running slider and your bunt for hits. Like you would think that would be part of, because we didn't get to see any sliders tonight, but
we're going to see it in less than 24 hours, right? We're going to be able to see. That's the thing. Like everything we're talking about today, we're just doing like gut reactions. We'll have more getting in the game tomorrow and figuring things. I almost feel like I don't want to judge anything positive or negative until we actually see it, get to play with it, get to understand it. But
and even then, we won't have beta can change so much in the course of a few days that it's going to take a week or two before we start to get a handle on this. So this is just as EVC said, kind of a gut first impression of what we heard tonight about Perfect Team 25.
I also love the catcher ratings on this. Catcher framing.
Blocking.
Catcher framing was such an important part. If you look at the PT24, McCann was a card that didn't look so great, but like the framing on the McCann card was so fantastic that even though his offense was horrible, he was worth so many additional runs for your pitching staff that the framing was worth putting up with his bad bat, even in perfect league at one point during the cycle. And now that's going to be broken out. So now you're going to see the catcher ability versus so catcher ability has not been broken down. It looks like into two things. So your framing and your blocking now are going to be broken out. How do you interpret blocking? How does that impact being able to run two different catchers and seeing the difference between a high blocking and a high framing catcher during the beta could be interesting to kind of see which one has a better catcher's ERA with your staff. Again, lots of randomness, small sample size. You're not going to get a lot of information from it, but those are the kind of things that you're going to want to test around and play around with to figure out,
what things
do I want to have?
I mean, don't they go hand in hand? I mean, I think before, you're right, it was catcher ability, and now they've separated into those two categories. But for me, when I see those, I think of, okay, it's going to help out a low control pitcher that, you're going to get more strikes and he's going to be able to block the plate on wild pitches and things like that. So defense is going to be better. I don't know how it's going to impact if you have one of them high and one of them low.
Well, think about it. I mean, we had the same situation with PBABIP, right? We had home run and movement. Or we had movement, which was home run and PBABIP. Well, we realized how the game was done last year that PBABIP had so much more impact than home run. And it's just like outfield defense, right? You have a great arm, but don't have the range, right? And that makes it look like you're a great error, and you don't have the range. And so that makes it look like he's got a better defensive rating than it is. So now we're just getting, again, relieving that mystique. And now when you see catcher ability of 100 for two different catchers, you can now look at the catcher framing and go, oh, I want the one with the better framing because he may have a different one. And so I think that just like PBABIP was for pitchers this year, I think framing as a rating is going to be like the end all be all for catchers as we look at the rating we're going to do.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And OOTP developments are in the house, and welcome. We're just doing kind of a initial gut reaction to the stream tonight from OOTP about Perfect Team 25. So new rating systems, new look to the ratings on the left-hand side of the screen. Again, contact broken up into BABIP and avoid Ks, power not included in that contact now, and the addition to the catchers. And we don't know the other positions, right? We don't know if there's anything new with shortstops and second base.
That's true. We haven't seen other positions, but I think the catcher was the big one to show off tonight. And again, that is interesting, right? Home run is no longer part of that contact rating. It's like trying to separate the subparts and show it off. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Again, as we said, it's not a new case. It's not just a coat of paint, right? It's some really reworking of the rating systems, how these things are going to work in the game engine. And going to take some time to kind of deciphering all those things. And hopefully someone tells us what speed does compared to the other two. I always want to know. I want to know.
Well, I just hope speed is more relevant this year compared to last year, because, I mean, right almost from day one, it was like turn speed, turn stealing all the way down. Like base running, you could have maybe midway or even higher for some people, but the consensus was everyone had stealing all the way down. And I think stealing should be part of a game. But again,
we had a 40-70 Acuna this year, right? So I mean, that's your new benchmark of what you can potentially do for stealing. And I think, a lot of people, again, this all goes back to strategy, which you have the ability to adjust within you're doing OOTP.
I'm not Sandra Bullock, by the way. That would be this guy down there. I'll play Keanu Reeves. He's Canadian.
Yes. I don't know, but Sandra Bullock can be pretty kick-ass. So I'll take it.
Just saying, Keanu Reeves was Canadian. Yeah.
So I think that understanding, again, a lot of people can play different strategies. The strategy de rigueur today was to not steal as much, because it showed in the past when you look at people who like Tom Tango, right? If you look at the book and different ways of things and the stats and the analysis, that you have to have a 75% at least stealing rate in order for it to be positive. Very few people got that. A lot of people turned off stealing completely because of that. Only a rare couple players can kind of reach that level. Maybe things will change if you can really get nitty gritty, understand who those players are by having that broken out that we didn't have before. So looking forward to that. I'd love to see stealing, because it's such more of a bigger part of the game today. I'd love to see stealing have more of a part in the game that we're playing here this season. So maybe we'll see some of that.
All right. Well, we're going to move on. And I think the thing that wowed me the most, and it's something simple. I get wowed by simple things. And it was the card art for Babe Ruth. The 1920s. This has moved into one of my top 5 favorite card arts ever in Perfect Team. I love it. I love the old look to it. I love the crinkled corners. Maybe it's because I did Babe in the Matrix, but a keyhole look at
Yeah,
historical Babe Ruth.
I love this card. It's just a wowza kind of card moment here, and yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful card. I mean, the hundreds always have a special look, and I really appreciate, I think there's some very big, very Oppenheimerish. There's some
Yeah,
really big updates to the art, which is great to see. I think we've had some of these early era cards. We're going to see some dead ball cards, and there's sometimes we kind of have just slight tweaks from the year before. This looks like a complete new art style. So kudos to the art team. I know they talked about 2 great artists that have helped them pull this together. And if this is a precursor to the stuff we're going to see tomorrow in the beta, I'm very excited. We
yeah.
tried to get Sporer to kind of tease that dead ball card because we're going to see a lot of people are going to see it on the beta tomorrow, but we didn't get him to do it. He had to go to bed.
Well, Sporer wasn't even expecting to show this card. Someone just mentioned, "Hey, you see the card art in the Discord?" And he's like, "What?" And yeah, he showed it on screen. So
It's a beauty. So I'm
it
excited
is.
by this. It's also perfect just to use as a frame around my window for streaming. Right? We've got the card art around the frame.
Oh yeah, the beautiful blue and black, and this is a 1921 card when Babe was primarily a pitcher more so than a hitter. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a pitcher Babe Ruth, or is this just just a sample?
I think it's some art. Don't read too much. We'll see if this is the actual card we get.
We like to read into things. At least I do. All right, moving on. Speaking
You
of,
get into bunk trouble with me.
oh yeah, that's Bunk. Yeah, I forgot who I'm talking to. Well, the other thing we kind of talked on the stream earlier today was the 25th anniversary pack, because they did show us the Dierker card, and what was the other one? The Tommy Holmes and the Tom Paciorek. And the news came out that if you pre-order, so this will go to people that pre-order, you are going to get a pack on day 1 that have all 10 of these cards in, which are representations of retro cards, basically, of previous years. You can see the little stickers on it from the year they were brought into Perfect Team. And you're going to be able to choose, what was it, 1 or 2 that you get?
2. So you have a choice pack with these 10 in it, and you get to choose. I mean, I love the Top Spun art from 23. When those cards came out, they were just legit amazing. I was actually hoping like the PT Lights would do something like that. I thought these were just fantastic, but super detailed.
Yeah.
And I love the Doc Ellis art. Like that's just one of the all-time favorite PT cards that we've seen in the history back in PT 21 with that psychedelic background. But I'm torn. Choosing 2 of these is going to be hard. Especially since you kind of have to choose early on, right? Like you don't know what all the ratings are going to be yet. But since I'm going to do a Dodgers team, nudge, nudge, hint, wink, I got the Dodgers shirt on. I think Pedro is going to have to be on that squad, and we'll talk about some of the other ways that Pedro might be helpful for that squad. But there's a lot of interesting choices of how you want to use this. Like one of these cards or 2 of these cards are going to be amazing for your team out of the gate as you start to compete. But which of these cards would you work for your theme teams as well? Yes, you're talking about Dodger, and the Doc Vision's amazing, and Barry Basher, a giant Kansas City Royals fan. I don't remember what his ratings look like. And again, all these ratings had to be redone because the rating system is completely different. So extra work here for Sport, not only creating all the content this year, but to get all the cards that they decided to do for the 25th anniversary and highlighting these cards. There's a lot of extra work there, which is why you need to go to bed early tonight, get some more rest. He's got a lot more ratings to kind of tweak and play with.
I wonder if because with each license you get 3 teams you can set up. I wonder if you get 1 pack per team.
That's a great question. I don't know. They haven't really talked about past licenses, how many theme teams you're going to get. So he says yes. So every team. So if you pre-order, you get. And again, many people don't know this. If you're new to Out of the Park Baseball, 1 pack per account. So you have 1 license, and you can make 3 different perfect team accounts with the same license. So you can make 1 perfect team. That's your main. You can make a second perfect team. That's your teammates, your favorite player. A third team is your favorite franchise. You can play multiple different ways, and each one of those is going to get an anniversary pack based on what OOTP is telling us. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, Shante Cruz, I mean, it's reasons like what you just stated there that EVC and I and many other streamers love to stream, because if we can create content that makes it easier, that that immerses you in the game a little bit easier, because again, I've played many video games over the years, and there are games where I play them for a few minutes, maybe a couple days, but they're so overwhelming and I just leave and I never come back to them. And that's what I want to prevent with OOTP, that feeling of I don't know what I'm doing here and it's just too overwhelming. And I think streamers, especially in the last couple of years, have really helped bridge the understanding of the game to a simpler level, because we don't want to lose people like Shante. Like we want to keep them around.
It's a lot to take in and start to figure out, but the more you get it, the more addictive and fun it is. I've got a friend, Yo Dodger Bob, who's been a friend of mine for a long time, finally sucked him into the OOTP world, and he's going to be kicking off for the first time this year. So I'm actually looking forward to watching him go through the process of learning how to use it, how to do everything, and walking him through that, just to understand how I can better relate to people, some of the tips and things that can help people figure out how to get through the game. Because it is a lot when you're first getting through. I mean, I played the game for 4 or 5 months before I realized there was perfect team. Then it took me like another 6 months to realize I could make a second perfect team. So, that's why I always bring that up. Like you can just log in with a different email address. And again, most email addresses today, if you have a Gmail, like joe@gmail.com, you can do Joe, I think it's Joe plus or Joe dot. I think it's Joe plus, theme team at gmail.com. And it'll show up in your same email box, but it'll look like a different email address, have a different account. You have a different account and log in, and you can create a second theme team. Or a second perfect team. So yeah, always trying to help out everyone. And that's the true. What Hero Driver says, once you are a vet, then you help the noobs too. It's just kind of this community seems to help everyone else because you got so much from somebody else along the way. I learned from Kidneys and others that were streaming at the time, just how to go through, look at a card, think about a card, how to evaluate everything, and then try to do the same thing, talking about cards in our streams and hoping to help people with that. So
you pass it along and you hope that we keep people around and they pass on the knowledge like we've been doing. It's a continuous cycle of teaching to the next group of people, and the more new people that come along, the better. And hey, you get triple the pleasure now. See, I didn't realize that, but pre-ordering this gets you not just one of these packs, but for every team you create under that license, you get a pack for them. So, 3 teams, you could have 6 of these cards. You could try 6 of the 10 out. I think a lot of people are probably going to wait until the evaluation of the cards, if you know what I mean, comes around, and we hear which.
I think it'll be interesting to see whether you can wait, or you got to open them and just go. That'll be, are you locked or not? I think again, I'm drawn to the card art, right? And I always, but
yeah, and Sporer did mention that these are not exclusive to these packs, that some point in the cycle, these will be put into regular packs. So if you miss out on the Doc Ellis, don't worry. 3, 4, or 5 months down the road, it will come out as part of a set. I believe I heard that, correct?
That sounded right. Yes, these will come in packs, and all the exclusives will be packable. So you're going to be able to get these packs. They're not mission cards. They're not in tournaments. I think Pedro Guerrero's got a tournament logo on it, but it's not a tournament card. You will not be getting it in a tournament. It's just that's
Right.
what the card looked like back in PT23. So if you want that card, you can get it in this pack, or later on you'll be able to get it. And some people may sell these cards too at some point too. Just because you don't have the pre-order doesn't mean you get the pre-order. For goodness sakes, you might as well get these great cards. Who are you going to take? Who do you want to take right now? Just gut reaction.
Thinking back to when these actually played, if they have, I mean, the ratings will be different. You said there's an overhaul. I think I would go Pedro Guerrero. Just have that power first baseman. That card was just fire when it came out. And maybe the Hugh Duffy, depending on his defense ratings in center field.
I was thinking of Zorlo for size.
Yeah. Whoever has the better defense. I think I'm going to go defense.
Defense is definitely where I want to go if I'm going to get one of these gold cards to start off the campaign, right? Like, we know how much catcher and shortstop and center field mean. Up the middle defense is always a big part. And of course, Bobby Dewar. Maybe Bobby Dewar's the card.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something, right? Complete reversal of last year. And yeah, you're right, Hero. The higher the card rating, the better the card is early in the game. A lot of times that does prove to be the case. And do you want to play in, if there's a low gold compared to a high gold tournament, that might affect your decision too. So,
yeah, this set has pretty much only 2 are low gold, right? Only Tommy Holmes and Versailles.
Well, Ezra's in the house, and Ezra, I know it's your night off, so I didn't want to bother you, but you are here in spirit. There you go. So Ezra is still with us, just not directly here. Login bonuses, those are going to be back.
Yeah.
And the streak, there is no streak requirement. So if you miss a day, you're just going to pick up where you left off.
Yeah,
I haven't really compared the two, but we can kind of compare them now if there are any differences. And
I think it's exactly the same. I don't see any differences in it. I think it's the same number. It's a 6-day week?
Looks like it is exactly the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it a 6-day week now? But the card wrappers are prettier. The card wrappers are prettier because I think, and I didn't realize this before. Did we have different card art for each type of pack, different players on them? Because this is the first year I realized that they mentioned there's different card art for each.
Nope, it's always been just a different color of pack, but the same players. And now, it looks like there's different players for the different packs. You're right.
Yeah, I'm excited by that. I'm super excited by that. That's going to be it's just kind of fun to see some different types of packs, right? And LA Deadly Cruise on the card is kind of cool. So on the packs, I mean.
So there you go. Yeah. The streak, the bonuses, login bonuses are exactly the same. It is packs only, and
it was a huge improvement this last year. You know, it was so great getting packs at each opening. I think it's really great early on as you're starting off and don't have as much of a pack economy going. Getting just a couple extra cards going through is just so much more valuable early on than perfect points. So I'm.
Did you miss a day of logging in?
Did I miss a day? Yes, probably when I was in Patagonia without an internet. So there's some days that I missed.
Because today I opened mine and it said like you have logged in 355 days in a row. So I have not missed a day of getting the login bonuses. Not one. Every single day I've been able to log in. So once you get over like 100, you don't want to mess that up. You like that number at the top of the screen there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's so great. You don't lose your progress, because if you go back to PT23, it's like I don't check as often. It's like always just this certain amount of perfect points for the one day. It's like,
yeah.
But
so it doesn't reset to 0, but you don't get to that higher number because you did miss some days along.
The number doesn't make a difference.
You're correct, Mr. Black. The beta will come out tomorrow. and it's kind of a 3-day standalone game. Everything you accomplish, any cards you get, any missions you complete, any tournaments you win, all reset. You go back to zero starting on Friday when the official game comes out. So it's kind of like a trial, but you don't get to keep any of those. So take a lot of screenshots if you get some really good cards, because it's going to disappear on Friday.
And the ratings can change too. I mean, a lot of things change between the beta period and the actual live launch on Friday. There's a lot of work happening now. These guys are not sleeping anytime soon. You're not a fan of beta software. There's not there any stakes in it. So it's just kind of, it'll be fine, Ezra. You should come play. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be good, Ezra. It'll be good. But I have heard that from people, like after a few hours of playing the beta, they get tired of it. But I don't know. I could probably play the beta for 2 weeks and find something to do. It's new.
I think playing around a little bit and just trying to figure out how do you think about some of these ratings. Like I would love to get 2 different catchers with the different ratings that we saw and just play them during the beta and just kind of see the different performance of those 2 different players and see what they do. So there's a couple of things we can play. It doesn't mean those things are going to change. I remember I did training of a player during one beta, and the training curves had been put in. So it was just a straight flat line training during the beta, and then it had the more asymptotical, I don't know, training that we had when we got the launch. So that was kind of interesting, just kind of playing around and seeing what had changed. I really should make a checklist for these things.
And we're getting the final beta version, because the beta has been out probably since December, and people you can sign up basically. OOTP puts an announcement in the forums looking for beta testers in December. And so there are people out there that have been beta testing this for close to 3 months now, and seeing the different beta versions that have come out. So we're getting the final beta version tomorrow. You know what would be fun is going back to our streams from last beta. I think I still have the video, and rewatching that to see how the beta changed from the final release.
I don't think I had enough data points to figure it out. I mean, it was just fun to kind of get in there and play around, and opening packs is always fun, and trying to keep up with the team with what you get. And
I wasn't hoarding packs in the beta EVC. There's no need. Open every pack you have in beta, because you're going to lose them on Friday.
Minerva, I think that's December.
Yes, December. So in December of this year, check the forums. It's posted. I think Matt Arnold did it this year. He posted it up, and they look for beta. Yeah, and they pick a certain amount. Not everyone that wants to play it gets to play the beta. Then you send in bugs and different reports and stuff like that to help out the team.
Underdog asked if you have to download something new on Friday. Yes. You may even have to download something new during the beta period, because they'll find something during the first 3 days of the beta. Typically, there may be some new patch each day that's being added, just to kind of, we found something. We made some fixes quick. Let's put it up. Let's have you guys all play this and see if it's working or not. And so those are all types of things that you'll kind of see, and then making posts. There were some definitely little things, but really, launch day was very clean last year, and I'm thinking it'll be very similar this year. But again, there's a lot of changes going on here.
Yeah,
we didn't even talk about the big ones yet. We're saving the big ones for last, huh?
Yeah, exactly. We'll be too tired to go through them in too much detail. So I put the link in the chat there for the forum post here, where they talk about what you need to do if you did pre-order with the beta version. So you might want to go and check that out. They give you the time around noon tomorrow Eastern is when the beta should be available. And check your email.
Yeah, you'll get an email, and that takes some time for the emails to go out. Then everyone goes in and tries to download. So a lot of people are downloading all at the same time. So in the afternoon, maybe there's a lull. Maybe by 4:30, 5 o'clock, it'll be easier to download faster. And then people get off work, and you get another group of people coming in. So just have patience on tomorrow. Wednesday, things should be easier to get into and kind of play around with, but have patience. It's a lot of stuff moving along and moving around, and there's only so much bandwidth you can do to deal with everyone pinging the server all at once. as we know in the tech business, it's not a fun place to be. But anyone who's done video games and done those, launch day downloads knows exactly how crazy it can get.
And it won't be the full version even on Friday, as Mark has posted in the forums. There are going to be some things that aren't quite in the game yet. So be patient. Give it a couple weeks for the Hall of Fame component, for the Drive for the Pennant component in the base game. Those will not be there on launch, as Marcus has pointed out. So yeah, the forums, not everything's in the Discord, guys. Marcus isn't even in the Discord. So a lot of posts by him you won't see unless someone else posts link to it. So check out
check the announcements channel in Discord. That'll link you to what you need to see, and it'll keep you updated on all the announcements there. So that's the key place. I would just watch that and then link into the forums to get the details and the links to download and everything else.
Okay, let's move on to some of the more detailed new things that we're going to see. And this one is the tournament roster builder. You said you want to kind of tinker around with and try, two different players of the same position.
I am so, I was thinking, okay, I can build rosters. I've built rosters before. The thing that makes this amazing is that it will try to alert you when you sell a card that you have it in a tournament roster.
Okay, come again, because I didn't see this part on the stream. I was having
so you know how today, like, okay, I'm quick selling some different cards, and I by mistake quick sell a card that's on one of my tournament rosters, a bronze quick, and supposedly my understanding was correct. You type in here, or you create your roster in here, it says, oh, that player's on a roster. Are you sure you want to sell that card? That is so huge. I've had so many tournaments in my past where, like, I've got duplicates. I sell the wrong one that's on the tournament team, and now I've got an empty hole. I got to go figure out who was that pitcher that I had in that squad. So this is, I thought tournament roster was more builders was just kind of like, okay, I can build a roster for this, and it is going to take in whatever live tourneys are all there. You can click the download, the list here, the drop down, pick a specific tourney, and then it'll import all the rules for that tournament. And based on your cards, you can go build out that thing. So you could build out, a cap tournament. You could build out whatever you want from it. But the extra added bonus here is if you save it, you will then be able to go through and it'll let you know whether you're by mistake selling the duplicate that's in one of these specific tournaments. So that's huge quality of life improvement.
Huge, yeah, for sure. And yeah, a bunch of different options here. Set roster, upload to server, more actions. We don't know what's in there.
So again, if you're new to OOTP and trying to figure all this stuff out, like, tournaments are kind of the lifeblood of bringing in new, either perfect points, new cards, or packs, right? And so you want to be able to do that to kind of build your economy that you're going to do to be able to buy new cards and improve your team. And so tournaments are a great way to go through. You get to play at Perfect Draft. You get to play with all the cards that are in the game. And then other tournaments are cards that you specifically own that you can go play against other players and see who can compete at a specific level with specific rules. And so figuring out how to do that, like, I always have some quick irons and quick bronze teams to start off. They're usually relatively cheap to start, and you can kind of get into a rhythm and figure out what cards are good. And then do perfect drafts, of course. That's free to do, doesn't cost you anything. And we'll see. It sounded like, again, a little bit hinted, I'm going to talk more on Thursday, but it sounded like there will be similar, if not more, tournament slots than what you had if you were a non-PT Plus player this year. So that we'll find out more on Thursday, but looking forward to that as well.
So if you're just joining in, welcome. EBC and I are simply kind of doing a quick reaction video to what we heard tonight. And Sporer, you see the agenda that he had up, and these are some of the things that he touched on. He did say, though, that a lot more is coming on Thursday. He is going to be doing Twipped from now on. That was the special announcement at the end, that Sporer is going to be doing the Twip show on Thursday. Still at the same time on Thursdays. Dish is not going anywhere. He's still going to be around, but he's going to be doing the showdown on Saturdays now. And I'm sure
Dish has got a full-time job, guys. So, like, him being able to do Twipped in the mornings, his time when he had work to do. Plus on Friday nights when he's got to cover some of the local high school sports and things like that is difficult. So this is better for him. Hopefully he's happy with all these different changes. I think it's going to make his life a lot easier as well. So
Plus, he's getting involved in these international MLB Power Pro kind of tournaments too. So he's been doing some traveling in the last year or so,
which is awesome.
So he's got some other opportunities to do what he's passionate and love. I mean, he's passionate about OOTP, but he's passionate about calling the Power Pro game. So good on him.
This week also, the time is not guaranteed at noon this week. They're going to give us more details about that, but they hadn't guaranteed that this week's trip will be at noon. He's still working through stuff. So
yes, I agree. I did see some of that IBDB with the questions and people coming in late with the same questions that he answered earlier. And yeah, big props to how Sporer handled that.
If you are a theme team member in our theme team Discord, I did take voluminous notes. And you can kind of look at that in there under the PT 25 game updates too.
And again, if you missed it, love this card art. Babe Ruth. I'm going back to this a couple times before we leave. Okay. Now we get on to the two, I don't want to say controversial because they're not. They are a little bit, I guess, but they're new. They're the biggest changes, and change scares people sometimes.
This is where you come back and buy the new game, though. You want to find the new stuff. You want to try stuff out.
Yeah. Sporer learned what it's like to be a teacher. Exactly, underdog. Educators out there are like, oh, yeah. It's like a first year, second year teacher. Yeah, that's kind of what they would have to go through. Combinator. I'm going to let you take this away because you took some good notes on this, and you give us the overall take.
There is a lot here, but basically there's going to be a group of cards that are packable that are combinator cards, like this card you'll see with the red outline around it, the red background around it. You'll also see this card has multiple stars on it. See, there's 5 stars at the bottom. So you'll be able to upgrade this card 5 times, and it'll upgrade the ratings. How do you upgrade cards? So certain cards that are the same type, the same team, or the same decade. And again, that's the difference. If it's the same team, you get more points per card you're going to contribute to try to upgrade it. If it's the decade, you get the least points. If it's the same type, I'm going to make sure I'm doing that right. You can see the golds, right? So you can see that the card type has 15 points for the golds. The same decade has 30 points for the golds, and the same team for golds has 75 points, right? So you can see the escalator.
10. Same 10. Team looks like, here's the gold, Andrew Benintendi. He's an 80. 10 points, same team.
I thought I saw a 75 on here, but okay.
Yeah, I don't see 30 is the highest, and that's the same decade. Card type's 15. So 30, 15, and 10 look like the 3
We're going to
different
get in this in the beta in less than 24 hours and get to figure out exactly what it is, hopefully. So, we're not going to go too crazy yet. But then you're going to go through. So, okay, all these different points, the higher point total. If you scroll down, Lap, I don't know if you can scroll down there on that.
No, that's the only.
There's another screen. When you click all those different cards you want to contribute, it'll show you the percentage of your ability to actually get an upgrade to that card. So again, what you're doing today, you have duplicates of cards, you quick sell them, or you sell them on the auction house to get more perfect points. Instead, you can contribute those cards in the combinator and get upgrades. And so certain ratings will be upgraded from where they are now. The red background, if you are able to upgrade the card, the red background will change to another color and a star will get filled in, and you'll be able to see what level your specific card is. So the other thing on this, which is still to be determined, but you can see the card's still going to be an 89 overall. The card art is not going to change the core, but the outline's going to, the background's going to change, and the ratings will change. So you can already see all of the combinator cards start off with like a +2 in different ratings, and more details to come on left versus right and on the specific outfield attributes that contribute to the overall ratings that you see on the card. But all of those things then will have boosts. Don't know how much, don't know where. That's more to come as we start to play with it in the next couple of days. But all those cards will have boosts up to 5 different times to make that gold card that you see right now at the base level to have higher ratings overall. It's going to take a while to contribute a lot of cards. The screen grab, which I had in my Discord, showed basically a lot of cards being selected. Yeah, it may play like a 94. Exactly. That 89 might play like a 94 if it's been boosted. And so that's kind of the concept on these cards. But it's good, like you can contribute, all the cards on the screen and maybe have a 35% of getting a boost.
Yeah.
You click attempt, you submit the cards disappear from your inventory, and you may not get the boost. So that is the chance you're taking. The more cards you add with higher point values, the higher percentage likelihood. You could put enough cards in there to get 100% boost guaranteed, but it's a lot of cards. So
okay, let me know if I'm inaccurate on any of these things. And welcome in, guys. We came on tonight to do a quick little recap of what Sporer did. Plus, I had special drops turned on today because we had our Waggy Awards today. So if you missed this afternoon show, you should still be getting some drops for OOTP from OOTP.
And Deuce and Evil Shanks answered, you can boost this card 5 times. You'll see that there's 5 stars on the card. The thing is, again, you might have to make 8 attempts to get the 5 boosts, right? Because if it's a 38% chance to get a boost and you fail, it doesn't count as one of your attempts. You can keep attempting to get all 5 boosts. So
here's the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. One, every historical card has a combinator option. Now,
no. Only there'll be a combinator series. It's not every single card that's out there.
Okay.
So it's not every single card that exists in the set. There'll be a combinator series of cards, and you'll know what they are when you see the red thing, and you can only get these combinator cards out of packs.
Okay, and so they're kind of like limited edition because they're rarer than regular cards.
I couldn't understand the odds, and maybe it'll make more clear the odds there. I think it's like if you're normally going to get bronzes X% of the time, then only 1/400th of the bronzes you get will be the red outlined combinator cards.
Okay.
Right.
The other thing is, if you gamble basically and you turn in, I think the example they had was like 300 and some cards for a 30% chance, roughly. If you gamble and you lose and you don't get the combinator upgrade, you still lose those cards, win or lose, correct?
Correct.
They're gone from your account.
Gone from your account. So you have to take that gamble that's worth it. Seems, again, depending on the points and what the boosts look like and how you're going to use that card for a certain tournament. These cards are available in tournament and league play. So, if you're playing a tournament and you need this level and you want to have this below, 89 play like a 94 in a gold tournament, that could be really valuable for you to kind of do. But how many cards you're going to have to do that? It's kind of nice. Yeah, if there's a lot, it does make a lot. So, how much do I want to go through and upgrade? It's a great question. If you're doing a theme team, and this is one of your big players, then I'm going to boost that player possibly because I have a bunch of cards that don't play on my theme. I could go get perfect points and buy other cards, but maybe it's worth it to turn those cards in and get things. The problem with that is in a theme team, all the players on the same team may be cards I want for the theme team. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. We're going to spend a lot of time. Everyone's going to be looking through this, trying to figure out. Some people are all, again, people hate it. People are intrigued. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I have not played a game with this in it.
If
It's hard.
you lose out on the boost, like let's say you turn in 300 cards, do you still get the quick sell value, or do you get zero?
No,
Nothing.
none.
Okay. So
So
you
you
can
have to make an
quick sell
adjustment. You have
them.
to figure out if I could get, if I'm taking 50 bronze cards at 25 each, right? That's bad math. 100 bronze cards at 25 each. That is 2,500 perfect. Well, I can't do math. 25,000 perfect points. 2,500 perfect points.
2,500, yeah.
So for 2,500 perfect points, that may be worth doing. Turning in gold cards.
Gold, yeah. That's
Turning in bronze
25,000.
cards. Turning in perfect cards, maybe even. These are the things that I think the odds get tougher. But again, what do we have a lot in our game? How the game is settled up? We have a lot of lower level cards, right? The percentage of high level cards are high. So, how many times did I go through and just quick sell any card that was like 30 or below bronzes? If the price was below 35, it wasn't worth my time trying to quick sell all those. It's an intriguing, interesting way of dealing with all that. And if you're only talking about 2,500, 3,500, 4,000 perfect points for a lot of those cards, or some live 100s that don't do you anything, live silvers that are getting 100 perfect points, that's not a bad trade-off. And so if you really go through and think about how many cards I quick sold, and I'm sure, all those transactions that have to go through all those cards having to be sold, it's a lot. Yeah. So it's an intriguing way of having those cards have more than just 4,000 perfect points, right?
It'll be interesting to see, because if not every historical can be boosted, we do know that iron and bronze, even though this is a gold card they're showing, there are iron, bronze, all the way up to perfect that have possible combinator cards. And the ratings do not change. So if you go from your combinator at a 69 and you boost him, you get the 5 boost, he stays a 69. But all of a sudden he's playing like a gold or low diamond, possibly even in tournaments. That's a difference maker.
That's hard. Yeah. That's going to be hard to balance and make sure that it doesn't make it really hard to do tournaments. I mean, the treasure trove is great at bringing new cards into every single thing, and you constantly, with the treasure trove being every week, you got to constantly be upgrading your bronze and iron teams to kind of keep somewhat competitive. This is a whole nother way of potentially keeping competitive. Maybe you don't have to go buy the next level of cards that are upgrading through the cycle. You have a card you like this one, and you're just going to keep upgrading it through the combinator, right? So yeah, it's an intriguing and interesting thing. It's something that kind of, as someone who plays a lot of iron quicks and bronze quicks and some tournaments, it's definitely something that's going to be a new wrinkle this year.
The thing that I guess I do prefer about this, because again, I play a lot of iron and bronze, and at first I was like, well, I don't know if I like that, because I don't know if I can compete against all these people that are going to be able to get pack after pack after pack and accumulate cards. But then I thought about it and I said, well, with the LEs that came out, like the Suarez, if you didn't get one of those, you had to pay quite a bit for it on the card shop. And he was a meta bronze tournament player. This way, I get a combinator bronze and I can build him, and I don't have to worry about buying that card on the card shop because it won't be available. If you buy a combinator card that's at level 5, he goes back to level 0. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's right. So if you have a card and you boosted it, if you try to sell it, you can't buy a boosted version of the combinator card in the card shop.
I like it. I like it. If you boost them, you keep them. That way it can't, people aren't going to farm out, cards and use alts to build it up and then sell it off to someone and, trade off that kind of way. I think I like that you can't, it goes back to 0. It should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a fun feature. I think it looks a little scary. It's a little complicated when you look at it. We don't know the point totals. We'll get the hang of it. You got the hang of PT Live last year. We got the hang of PBABIP. We've got the hang of a lot of different things, and it's just another piece. It does. if you're a new person coming to the game, it adds another level of complexity on top of the existing part. And so, hopefully we can help people around and get through that process and figure out. And, you have to make that choice. Is it worth the boost? Is it not worth the boost? Whether rather have the perfect points now. And again, depending on how you play, if this White Sox card is so great for your theme team and helps you in the other thing we haven't even talked about, the chemistry stuff, then maybe you're going to want to boost this card and really focus on that versus going and buy another card. Like if I could go boost an early cycle card that played great and over the years boost that card so that it's still a competitive third baseman for my team, let's say you get, this is not going to be a combinator card, but let's say you got a Jackie Robinson that plays great early in the cycle, but then over the cycle, he's not playing as well. If you can boost that card and kind of keep him up so he can play with the rest of the Joneses over time, that's really interesting.
I would think it would keep cards more relevant for a longer period of time too.
And what you want in this game is you want more variation in lineups that are competing at each level. So this maybe gives a chance for that to actually happen.
And it's not going to be easy to get to boost number 5, and that's a good thing.
It may not be easy to get to boost number 1.
Yeah. Well, Evil Shanks is saying that they start, if you get a combinator card, it's already at level 1, that the base card is going to be a 0. So this is a level 1, I think, that we see here because we do see a +2, but it doesn't show the little star filled in. So
yeah, I think maybe it's level 1 and you boost it 5 times. Either way, you can tell a card its base level here with the red and the 5 stars. And then when you get one boost, it'll have 1 star. The color on the outside will change. And so the color on the outsides will change as you go along and boost all 5. So it feels like there's 6 levels because there's a base and 5 boosts.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then. So yeah, the combinators, you exchange cards. The example they have, and again, it could change. This is the beta, but the example they showed that I didn't, that kind of cut off there was exchanging like 3,000 cards to get 100% guaranteed boost. So take that for what it is. Trade in 3,000 of your historical duplicates that fit. And
the other thing that was announced tonight, which I don't know if you saw, is the historical live ratios are changing.
Oh, right. Tell us about that.
So today you get 70% of them are lives and 30% of them are historics. And maybe there's a slight, difference in that. It's going to go to 55-45. So 55% lives, 45% historicals. It's a big change. They mentioned that there'll be twice as many silvers? I didn't look at my notes completely there. So there's going to be a lot more. Let's see if I've got my notes here.
Twice as many opportunities
two
to get
times more common. Silvers will be 2 times more common than they are today. Is Adolfo in chat? What was streaming said that probably means that there's going to be less bronze.
Less bronze.
The bronze to iron ratio is going to switch a little bit to make so that irons will be twice as more. I mean, you always, the last couple of years, right? Irons were always harder to get. You end up having to have silver packs. Excuse me, these are silvers. I'm sorry. Silvers are going to be twice as more common. In the last couple of years, we've had to do silver packs and really highlight silver packs because they were harder to get a number of those silver packs. People had lots of standard packs. There were gold historical packs, not as many silver packs. And so to get silvers more common, I think they're just changing that ratio a little bit.
Yeah. And you're right, Mr. Joe Hobo. The level of the card determines the points. And on this screen here with the combinator, it does show 75 points for that top Gary Peters. Same team.
That's why I was getting the number 15. It was 15 for the type. It was 75 for the team, and I thought it was 30 for the what's the third
decade? Thing? 30 for the decade, yeah.
Yeah, 30 for the decade.
Yeah. And then the lower the level goes, the less points, down to 2 points for the irons.
Yeah, the irons is like 2, 4, 8. Here you're seeing. So anyway,
just a lot.
Soon will be a chart with all these numbers. I'm sure we'll all know the points.
Exactly. We'll have a much better idea tomorrow. Okay, the last thing that kind of impacts you and your community is the theme team community. And it's been kind of teased that this new chemistry system, is going to relate to the theme team. So I'm going to let you take this away and tell us what we can maybe expect with team chemistry.
So again, very similar to what you saw the card combinator, the concept of how long, if you have a player who's been a teammate of another player, you're going to get a little bit more boost. The same thing, you got more of a boost being on the same team. But if you go to the chemistry, supposedly as well in the coding, if I was a teammate with someone for a longer period of time, I get a little bit more boost. And every player has some kind of impact on that. So if there are two players that were teammates that are on your squad, so Barry Bastard does a Kansas City Royals theme team. He's got 1985 to today, right? The last 20, 40 years of Kansas City Royals on his squad. A lot of those players played together as teammates. So if they play together as teammates, they're going to get a little extra boost in the overall squad. You can see here has got a big update. Chiefs are going to do an Atlanta Braves theme team. There you go. And
the
so
Beltray Buddies with D. Dempsey.
Sorry?
The Beltray Buddies is another good example with D. Dempsey.
And so the longer someone played with the other gets even more impact. So if I was on the same team with you, but then I also played multiple years. So think about, let's talk about some Tigers, Trammell and Lou Whitaker, right? So go back to the left of the description, because I think the description is really helpful. Players who were actual teammates with longer associations yield greater benefits. Cards from the same year and or representing the same real-life team will get a bonus. Cards belonging to the same card category get a smaller bonus, right? So the more you are, again, the Trammell and Whitaker combination, the Tigers for all those years as teammates, one of the longest running shortstop, second base duos in baseball history, are going to have more of a chemistry input. And so you can see the impact of it. It says in the simulation engine, the team chemistry boost possibility affects all players. However, players making greater contributions will receive proportionally greater benefits.
Wow.
So if you've got Whitaker and Trammell in your lineup, they're going to get the most boost from their relationship of being on the same team for so long.
Which you can tell over on the right-hand side, the percentage here, who has a greater impact, right? Like a 4.9% has a greater impact than 1.1.
Yeah. And so again, where does it boost? How does it boost? Where is the engine reading all this and doing this? It's a great question. It does. Now we do a lot of different type of theme teams, right? The creativity of this community is amazing. Franchise theme teams represented only 24% of the overall theme teams that were created last year. Teammates was maybe 5 to 10%. So 35% of the theme teams that we had this last year would have benefited from these things, having teammates that played together. Your Steve Super 7 might not have gotten it, right? Because you did all-star teammates, not real-life teammates. I did Ricky Henderson.
They're from the same decade, right? Or whatever.
Same decade would work. They'd have a boost, but not the same as being teammates on the same team for as many years.
Yeah.
My Ricky Henderson teammates squad would benefit somewhat, but Ricky moved around a lot, right? He didn't have 10 years in any one spot. And so he wasn't 10 years, he's like 1 year here, 2 years here, 4 years here. And so, a Cal Ripken, Captain Kegleg's, Orioles, who played for so many years with the Orioles his entire career, or Joe Mauer playing until a career, all those Twins that he played with are going to have a boost that'll be pretty sizable. So it's going to be interesting, really allowing you to focus on a specific era, a long-term player. Like for the Dodgers, maybe I don't do a Dodgers theme team this year, and I do a Kershaw theme team and just see what happens.
What about, I might do a Babe Ruth theme team, because can you imagine all those Yankees that he played with?
True.
How dominant that would be?
True. No, that's it. So it makes you kind of think where that goes. It takes other theme teams. We've got name theme teams that we've done, and they're not going to see this kind of boost from this kind of thing. It's going to put an interesting twist on what we've been calling theme teams for a long time. And it really becomes like doing a franchise team may be the way to go. Or if you think about, and I haven't really done this, I've got my main team up and just trying to think about all the players on my existing team. So I'm going to go to my existing team and just take a look at the player list and look at the number, see what teams they played for, right? Like the
Well,
Mookie
you're
Betts.
doing that. Just to mention too that this includes like rookie sensations. You have a theme team of just rookie sensations because they would get a boost because they're all rookie sensations.
This is true.
Yeah.
So on my main team, I have like Mordecai Brown and Bruce Sutter were on the Cubs, but not in the same era. Lou Boudreau and Joe Sewell were on Cleveland, not in the same era. Betts and Kershaw were. So like if you look at your meta, certain players would get boosts. Wade Boggs and Tris Speaker, again, both played for Boston Red Sox, but didn't play together at the same time. So, if you look at the meta that's in Perfect League this year, this really kind of twists that and gives some interesting opportunities for people to play. Like, I don't know how it's going to impact, how much of an impact this is, because what's not discussed here is how it impacts the engine. We know if you played the base game, and I've only gotten to play a little bit of the base game, but team chemistry is a big part. If you've got leaders, if you've got people that aren't so good, and this kind of takes that same concept and puts it in based on their real world experience. And if you have a team that's a bunch of people that are just not playing well together, then your team performance lacks, right?
Yeah.
But it's in the margins, right? Baseball is a wonderful RNG game that the Dodgers can have the best record in the season and get ousted in the playoffs 2 years in a row. So, there's all sorts of interesting things that might happen in baseball, but, we know home field advantage is giving you a little extra boost. This will give you a little extra boost as well.
And look at the potential of roster construction. We see Ian Kinsler at the bottom, who's a silver, 6%, and all the diamonds are like a third of that. So you put on that silver Ian Kinsler instead of that 98 Barry Latman.
Yep.
Which you never would have thought of before.
If you think about it, like, there's some silver Dodgers this year. Maybe Trey Turner is better than Jackie Robinson playing at third base, depending on who else he's playing with, right? It's a very interesting concept of how do you make a team and optimize it. And in real life, you need to have good team chemistry. But you have plenty of situations where chemistry was not good and teams won anyway. So, it's not the be all end all, but it's just another piece of the pie, which makes it feel much more like the base game. And that's what we love OOTP, because you're taking the things that happen in baseball and trying to figure out, how do I maximize those things? How would I do it? How would I build my roster construction and do it? And so this is an interesting twist. There's some things where I know that Don Sutton and Steve Garvey were on the same team and were teammates for early years, but they did not get along. So but that's not that's not neither here nor there, right? That's not being counted in this. But
why does it say like 9.84%, but over on the right hand side it says 100%? Like what? I'm not a numbers guy. What's that showing here?
So that's 100% is all the players that you're seeing there on the right side, adding up to the 100% of the 9.84%. So of the 9.84%, whoever's that last player, Ian Kinsler's representing 6.8% of the total impact on that number. There are 26 players on average. They should all equal around 4%. So if you're above 4%, right, then you see them in yellow. Then you're going to have more positive impact. If you're below 4%, well, maybe I need to switch out some of those guys that are in red. And so just like you go through and figure out positive zone ratings and negative zone ratings to figure out your next upgrade, this is another factor you can take in and say, maybe I need to upgrade some of those guys that are in red to improve the overall positivity that everyone's having on the team.
Do we know which player this relates to?
No, this is your entire team.
Oh, okay. This is okay. So it's not compared to a player. I'm thinking combinator then. Okay. This is your entire team. So you're going to get a 9.84% increase, but some of these players are going to get an extra boost because of their value. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm very excited. I'm missing chat. Yes, Dukeston, I'm a little bitter. The Dodgers need to show. Hey, there you go. Oh, it's their hope that one day players will have clutch rating and Will Clark's card will be more valuable. Chemistry, and of course, 36.6% wins. Hooray, red pie piece.
I don't think Paul mentioned how it impacts the team performance. Just that
there's some impact. Again, just like home field advantage has some impact on team performance that's in the model, your team chemistry now, there's a baseline, and if you're 9.84% better, whatever impact chemistry has on the team, which has always had an impact in the base game, it's just been 0% for every single team and perfect team up until this year. And now,
how about this question from Dukeston?
No, there's no team builder. There's no way right now to go into the marketplace and understand how someone's going to help your overall team. This is not easy stuff. If you go through and try to look at, every time I was doing some of my slides talking about a new teammate that I added to the Ricky Henderson theme team, I had to go into Baseball Reference multiple times, compare Ricky's years and player X's years, and figure out what years were they teammates. And so to know, there's no tool that I'm aware of that's available right now that shows how many years someone were teammates together. So.
Okay, well, I think that's a good place to end. We've kind of covered the basics. We talked about the ratings and how those are going to change with some of the statistics. We looked at the example of the Babe Ruth card. Excellent card art. Can't wait till tomorrow and see some of the other card arts. If you pre-order, you get 2 of these 10 cards that you get to choose from, and they're not exclusive. They will be in packs later on in the game, but you get first shot at them. The login bonuses are exactly the same. Exact same login bonuses every day. Tournament roster build. Chance to build some of your tournament teams, and then the big ones, the card combinator. Going to take a while to get used to that, and then the team chemistry. Anything else to add, EVC?
This is always like Christmas this coming week, getting to play new things and try stuff out, and like every single year, there's new stuff. It takes a while to get used to it. You hate part of it, then you get to figure it out, then you do better. So I'm not a doomsayer. I'm always looking through. I want to see it and play it. And, on the other hand, maybe there's things to fix, and there's always things to fix. And that's the great thing. I feel like if this last year is any example of it, this year was great. There was definitely issues in some of the card content and the builds. Sporer jumped in, really got in and helped improve things. This team is here to try to make the game better. I think that we're going to see that. Again, they're always looking to try to improve things, and so our feedback is going to be a big part of that. And I'm very excited. Beetle Boy says he always wonders maybe this chemistry thing is why every time he adds a new player to the PT roster, they are horrible for a while.
I've wondered that too, because it seems to happen. It seems to be a common thing now. Is that just us being skeptical, or is that a real thing? But it's a good thing. We don't know everything under the engine or under the hood. It's a good thing, because there should be some things that we don't know how it works, because that's part of the fun of the game.
Yeah. I mean, if it's the same, if you're just doing the same thing again, like, it gets boring, right? Like,
yeah,
you spend an entire year building a team and starting from scratch again. Well, I'm going to build a Dodgers theme team, and I'm going to take into account that chemistry a little bit more. And it'll be interesting. And then if you've got a card, if you're doing a card that is a combinator card on top of that, just really interesting, like things building on top of each other. So for a new person coming in is a lot. It is overwhelming, probably the number of things to go through. I just want to make a team, put it out there, and like, what do I do next? Well, you could work on your defense and zone rating. You could work on the combinator and chemistry. You could work on, and it's just like a real GM having to figure out, how do you improve the team? How do you constantly upgrade so you can get to that pennant?
I think talking through it has made it easier than I thought it sounded at first. Because you're right. You have to decide where you're going to allocate your resources. Are you going to sell them on the card shop? Or are you going to use them to focus on a combinator card? Are you going to use them to focus on chemistry cards? It forces you to, it's not just simply opening packs, insert players. Like there's many options now for you.
And that's what's so crazy about this game. It's the level of stuff that you can do. I mean, you can earn perfect points from PT Live. You can do tournaments. You can do perfect drafts. You can, so just like a real GM, I expect to be paid well. Wait, what?
Get in line, Dukeston. Get in line. All right, EBC. I said I'd probably keep you on for an hour just to kind of do a quick look at this. Again, we'll find out a lot more tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you next episode.